Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we get to reflect on Western ignorance and incompetence about all things Islam. Writing for World, Ayman Ibrahim says, after the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, the Biden administration just keeps the bad decisions coming. Of course, he's referring to the withdrawal that looked nothing like the chaotic withdrawal from Vietnam in the 70s. Nothing whatsoever. Zero.
Do you see any parallels between this withdrawal and what happened in Vietnam with some people feeling...
None whatsoever. Zero.
You see, in Vietnam, we used helicopters, and in Afghanistan, we used airplanes. And helicopters have no resemblance to airplanes. None whatsoever. Zero.
None whatsoever. Zero.
I should also mention another difference between Vietnam and Afghanistan, namely that the Biden administration used terrorists to help with airport security, and somehow a couple of bombs evaded the Taliban's strict security checks and killed 95 Afghans and 13 U.S. soldiers. Lesson for the Biden administration: you can't trust the Taliban for security, no matter how good their advertisements are. Wait right there, don't change this video. Nobody likes paid ads, but you need this one. What do you think of when you hear Taliban? Terrorism? Suicide bombers, AK-47s, full-grown men marrying little girls, taking women out of schools and stuffing them into sacks? Then you need to change the way that you think about the Taliban. From now on, when you think Taliban, think safety, satisfaction, security. In fact, the word Taliban means security. No, it doesn't. They're just stupid Americans. They won't know. Yes, the Taliban has been entrusted with security even by President Joseph Robin Hood Biden since 2021, when he left the security of the Kabul airport into capable Taliban hands. A couple of bombs later, and President Biden has no regrets, and neither will you. Cameras, lights, alarms, forget it. You don't need them. Throw all of that troublesome technology away for one simple sign, letting everyone know your home security is provided by one low-maintenance, highly trained personal security guard certified by the Taliban. We mentioned it before, now let's hear it again, right from the donkey's mouth.
I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
I couldn't have said it better myself, and you'll go to bed too and sleep soundly with the Taliban. Call 1-666-TALIBAN means security and tell them Muhammad sent you. Again, call 1-666-TALIBAN means security and use discount code Trust Us With Your Daughters to get 3, that's right, 3 free babysitting sessions included with your first month's contract. Stop waiting and call now. After all, if you can't trust the Taliban, who can you trust? Anyway, after the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, the idiotic Biden administration just keeps the stupid decisions coming. What is it this time? In a dangerous and consequential move, President Biden agreed to release 5 Iranian nationals detained in the United States in return for the freedom of 5 Americans imprisoned unjustly in Iran. At the surface level, I don't see an issue trading 5 imprisoned Americans for 5 Iranian nationals, setting aside the fact that some of the Iranians have charges relating to terrorism. But it gets worse. I'm so surprised. In addition to the swapping, the deal lifts a freeze on $6 billion in Iranian funds. Now, some of you might be having flashbacks to your high school days working with those unbalanced chemical equations. 5 imprisoned Americans traded for 5 Iranian nationals plus $6 billion. And what better day to break the news than 9/11? Further, our idiot Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said Iran will then be permitted to use the funds to buy food, medicine, or other humanitarian items. That's right, Blinken put the Iranian regime and humanitarian in the same sentence, but that's been the narrative of the White House all along, only for humanitarian items. Let's hear it from another horse's mouth. Here's the perpetually constipated John Kirby. Somebody get this guy some laxatives.
It's all designed for food, medicine, medical equipment for the Iranian people.
So there you have it, humanitarian purposes only. But Iran's president responded sharply and quickly, insisting that Iran will spend the billions, quote, wherever we need it.
This money belongs to the Islamic Republic of Iran, and naturally we will decide, the Islamic Republic of Iran will decide to spend it wherever we need it.
So who should the world believe on this one, Iran or the U.S.? I'm going with believing Iran in no small part because the world is well aware of their recent humanitarian efforts. We've seen some of these with our own protesters, including women who they beat publicly on the street, and some of them, like Mahsa Amini, to death. But if you fear rebellion, beat them, right, Muslims? That's the word of Allah and his messenger. Ibrahim continues, undoubtedly hostage negotiations are complicated, and understandably, some compromise is always expected. But this is a horrible deal. And it's a deal that, like the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, will likely cost many lives, especially since the first and foremost desire of the Iranian regime is to be a nuclear power, and history will record that Biden, like Obama before him, was responsible for easing the situation for the regime by granting it billions of dollars, thus paving the road for its aggressive aspirations. Ibrahim also points us to the Shiite doctrine of taqiyya. In Sunni Islam, this is also known as dawah. With this, Muslims can lie to accomplish major religious and political goals. Now, with less ignorant leaders, maybe this would be a factor, but the U.S. is currently so stupid that Iran doesn't need to lie. The Iranian line has been crippled by sanctions, but Biden thought it time to give the dictators a reviving support. In recent American history, there are probably very few decisions worse than that. Islamic taqiyya was no doubt on display at some points during the Butcher of Iran's speech recently. Yes, President Raisi, with a fresh $6 billion in his pocket, was welcomed on U.S. soil for the UN General Assembly by many of the same people who are constantly rending their garments over the oppression and victimization in the West, where homosexuals are not executed and women are not beaten to death in the streets. According to The Guardian, there were some protesters at the assembly who called attention to Raisi's massacres of thousands, and the Israeli ambassador is among those who have not forgotten about Mahsa Amini, holding up a picture of her. It's hard to imagine something the pig president of Iran hates more than a Jew holding up a picture of a woman. Is there anything productive to reflect on as we see incomprehensible levels of evil and stupidity on the national and international stage? From the Christian perspective, I am reminded of Isaiah, Daniel, and John, among others, who draw our attention to the supernatural side of empires. They often portray wicked nations as monsters, like dragons, in opposition to God. And they would argue, and I agree, there's more to all of this than meets the eye. Nations, their rulers, and these are just local manifestations of a cosmic battle. Looking across the U.S., the West, and the world, it's clear today that many are on the side of the dragon. But however supernatural evil manifests itself in this life, the Bible says the dragon will be slayed. From presidents to peasants, we're all held accountable for which side of the battle that we choose. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.